True. And then he says, this young man. And tell him, did you hear, what's this other group you play for? Exit?
Exit.
Oh, I didn't know eggs had any blemish problems. I guess that would be exits, then I guess, or something like that. Yeah, well. Yesterday, yeah. Yesterday, my father would have been 90 years old. It was his birthday yesterday on the 3rd of July. And he lived most of his adult life with one arm, his right arm. We refer to his other as the left arm, because he left it on the beaches of Normandy on D-Day. And that was a sacrifice. It's not as though he said, here, I'll trade this for that. They were fighting against an awful tyrant. But earlier in our history, we made a declaration of independence against the tyrant, so we were no strangers to that kind of battle. And if I were to ask you right now, who was the guy that got up before Lincoln in Gettysburg and spoke on and on and on? Few people could say who he was. But Lincoln spoke for 2.5 minutes at Gettysburg, and 150 years we're still quoting that, referring to it. He said something like this as he looked out over that battlefield. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. We are now engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are now met on a great battlefield of that war to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate. We cannot hallow this ground. But those brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or to detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it must never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living rather, today, to dedicate ourselves to that great unfinished work that they who fought here so thus far nobly advanced. It is for us, the living rather, to dedicate ourselves to that task still remaining before us, that these honored dead, we take a new measure of dedication from these honored dead for the cause for which they gave the last full measure of dedication, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that this government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth. Abraham Lincoln.